because you guys are at the same point we were 15, 17 years ago. And so in order to stay in Charleston, I had to create the environment that I wanted. And that's what the CD is. It's kind of a labor of love to me. When most people said it couldn't be done, we said, no, we'll make it happen.
Ernest, I really didn't give you the proper introduction in the fact that your background with the city is very important leading into what you do at the CDC.
Oh, yeah.
As far as annexation, you were the director of
Yeah,
annexation,
yeah.
correct? And he took the city of Charleston from 38 square miles to over 100,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Amazing. So he has the city economic development background and forethought even before he got into the Charleston Digital Corridor and what he's doing now. So
I jokingly tell people, I said, the first 13 years of my career with the city, I retired at 27 years with the city, was growing the city from, as Laura said, from 38 square miles to 100 square miles. And the second half was the opportunity to fill it up. And I didn't want to fill it up with just bedrooms. I wanted to fill it up with the kind of business that kind of would drive the city moving forward, who was very, highly results oriented. And this is what Charleston looked like in 2001 from my perspective. And I'll go to the last one first. There was no economic strategy to guide the city. I mean, if you're a business person, can you imagine running a business basically without a strategy? Well, if there's one today in Myrtle Beach, I'd like to see it. Because there isn't one in Charleston. Today, if you were to ask for a strategy in Charleston, there is no economic strategy. Just flying by the seat of your pants, hoping basically to get lucky. And so what we did was we actually decided, it was after Family Circle Cup, the mayor said, I'd like for you to pay attention to what's going on the peninsula. This is like what's going on in downtown Myrtle Beach. And I said, can I come back to you? And 2 weeks later, basically, I put together a plan. It was just all my frustrations, basically, and my observations coming out in a document. And believe it or not, the document was 1 page. It was a 1-page document. And the mayor looks at me, and this is Joe Riley, he looks at me and he says, Ernest, you got the strategy on 1 page? And he's like, he's just used to seeing these consultant reports, reams and reams of paper and everything else. And I said, well, did I miss something? Because if I missed something, I'd like for you to call me out. And he said, no, he says it's actually, it was not intended to go into excruciating detail. It was, here's what makes of your city today. This is the profile of your city. And this is what we should be doing. So, as I like to tell people, I said, the wage levels were stagnant. I mean, you saw in any coastal community, same thing happening over. You've got wage levels that, you've got cost of living, especially housing. The same house that I bought for $170,000 is worth $800,000 today. And I don't live on the water. This is in Charleston, in Mount Pleasant by Shem Creek. How are we going to basically, if your wage levels are stagnant, how are we going to create opportunities for the kids? You're just going to hollow out your young community because they're going to move away, right? And even better, for a guy who's originally from India, who grew up in Kuwait, I took the Kuwait wealth, went back to India, and lived basically like a king. We had servants, we had maids' quarters in the back of the house and everything else. And I said, what's really interesting? What we're doing in Charleston is we're creating a third world country. Whereas they basically are closing the gap, we're just blowing a hole in the gap basically and making it worse. And I said, we can't have that. The strength of our economy, whether it's national or local, is the middle class. And if you're going to haul out the middle class, that's a problem. So we had to come with a strategy basically that worked for the middle class. Go to school, son, daughter, go to school. Where was my kid going to basically get a job, right? And that was my motivating factor, because all my friends are professional, 90% of them basically in medicine. And I would sit in these conversations and I would just go on, what the buck stops with me. It wasn't Joe Riley who was the mayor. I was the business development strategist basically for the city, so the economic development director. That is strategy, so just go out and make it happen. The other thing is basically something that you have over here as well, basically, is that the economy is tourism focused. Was it Mark who said basically the busing folks in?
Yeah.
I remember going to an event, basically, it was Icon Health and Fitness, like Icon Fitness, which is Reebok, Jump King, their biggest importer basically, Nautilus, they own all. And it was a distribution facility, and the mayor said, what should I say? And because he knew I'd kind of moved on into kind of this technology world. And you know what, and I was like, well, you know, just go over there and shake the hand. There was a 200,000 square foot warehouse. But I said, let me tell you what it means, Mayor. What it means is that those people working at that facility are going to make the same amount of money they're making flipping beds, except they're going to have insurance. They're going to have benefits. So for them, it's an improvement, and if our role is to provide opportunities for everybody in the community, that was an opportunity, that was a step up for them. The distribution jobs in Charleston are a step up basically from the tourism and hospitality related jobs. So at the end of the day, basically, my issues are, if you're a professional and you go, you know, you get a computer science degree, you get a math degree, you get anything science related, and you want that job, if you're not in medicine, if you're not in financial, if you're not in accommodations or the hospital, I put it all under what I call the visitor industry. I put festivals, accommodations, restaurants, I put that all under kind of the visitor care. And that's tourism, right? So if that's what you want to do the rest of your life, well, then that's fine. But I think for those who want a professional job, making a decent wage, then we've got to start to address it. So how we addressed it basically is with the Charleston Digital Corridor. And we had 3 very simple goals. I mean, you know, you look at strategies and they're just, it takes you a degree just to understand the strategies what some of these folks are coming back with. Let's raise the per capita wage. Let's get it off the bottom. Let's diversify. There's nothing wrong with the tourism jobs. They're great. But you also have to, they're different, you're catering to different segments of the economy. If somebody just graduated from high school, they've got to get a job. And so basically it's perfectly fine, you know, to have just these different tiers of basically employment in the economy. It's healthy. But what I said is we've got diversified beyond medical, beyond financial, beyond legal. Those are all what I call retail professions. If there's a bigger population to sue, more lawyers. If there's a bigger population to you know, making money, more financial plans. If there are more basically patients getting sick, more doctors. They grow directly related to the population base. What are the ones that don't do that? Well, you know what? Laura wants to live in Myrtle Beach, but she can work for any company in the world. I want to have a situation where those are what I call discretionary jobs. You can go anywhere. The internet, Global Crossing, for many of us who don't even remember the name, gone, bankrupt. But what Global Crossing did was they ran a cable that lit the world. And it allowed the world, a little village in Burma, Myanmar now, to be competitive with anybody in the United States. It's Global Crossing. Spent a lot of money, basically, from stockholders, put the cable in the ground and went bankrupt. But they lit the world, and so I can choose to be anywhere that I want to and work. And that's what's happening with these kids. They don't see themselves as being, they're nomads. They're digital nomads, basically. They can choose to live anywhere they want to, but then why not live at home? What's interesting is a lot of them come back home because their parents take ill, and so they're like, oh, well, you know, I've got to go back home, and that kind of, that's what's happening. And that's nothing to be, I mean, to me, basically, that creates opportunity. That creates opportunity with these kids who are coming back home. Not all of them are coming back home because they're sick. Some are going to Atlanta, New York. They don't like the cold, and then guess what they want to do? They want to move back where they can have a night, where they can raise a family.